I was asked to produce a video on how I changed the balance wheel on my Consew from an industrial to a spoked wheel. And I wanted to show you how I did this on 3 machines. So the reason is because they're not all the same, and it's important to understand sometimes some of the implications that would happen. So this particular balance wheel is off of a class 15, fit under 201, any of them, that's standard. Now, I did a video showing the different size, so the reason I've put this on here is because the diameter of this is much smaller, so therefore I get a lot more speed on this machine, which is handy. However, what I found was particularly interesting about this machine, which is why I'm showing it to you, so this is the 237, is that let's see if I can zoom in a bit, it actually removes with screws, whereas the other ones have a pin. So this has grub screws, and it's super easy to remove this. Okay. Just make sure the grub screws are out enough. Don't want to drop them out either. I'll just remove them totally. I've got magnets here, so I'll put them there. And then this will remove. It's being a bit awkward. Let me get actually this will make it easier to pull out. There we go. So that just pulls off then. That. And what you'll see is you're left with just a small shaft. Now what I found out is that not all these the industrial shafts sometimes are bigger. There's different ones, so you need to be aware that they're not all equal. Plus just the fact that this has this wonderful screw mechanism, and then they've got this notch in there with the grub screws, so it has no way of slipping. So this is the easiest one I found to remove. You know, absolutely super easy. However, the downside of this particular design is that this is shorter than some of the proper class 15 ones, and what it means is, so let me zoom back out. Okay, what this means is that is actually a bit short. Now it still works in that you can screw in and get it secure, but it means that the clutch washer isn't actually going to be used. It still works, but where it does impact things is that it prevents the bobbin winder from working on this particular machine, because the balance wheel doesn't go far enough back. It's deeper on some. So what I figured, but I haven't done it yet because of this table, I've got an industrial bobbin winder here and it works fine, is if I were to increase this just that much, just a little bit, there's a little bit of plastic here, which I think if I remove will allow this to touch the wheel, so therefore I don't have to worry about having the bobbin winder. So I found this was a similar problem when I was trying this on my 319. You ended up not going to be able to use the bobbin winder, but it didn't make much of a difference to me. It's just, so it's touching there, but it's literally a millimeter difference to make that. So I think that's probably worth doing on this machine because it's a plastic top. It'll be very easy. So there, it stopped working. So it's literally a millimeter. So I think I can do this quite easily. I just have to get in there very carefully, remove a millimeter of plastic, and then this bobbin winder will work. And that's an easy fix. Then there's absolutely no reason why this machine can't permanently stay with that arrangement. And you know, without the washer it still spins so it fits the bobbin fine. It's just you can't use the washer properly. In this case it doesn't really matter much. It's exactly the same approach I've done on the industrial. So let me switch over to the other machine and show you the difference. Okay, so I'm going to remove the balance wheel from my Davis. Looks like I need a smaller screwdriver for this. I know it's coming. Okay. Then we have the clutch, washer, and then the balance wheel pulls off. So you'll notice this is well and truly longer than the Singer one. As you can see there's a big difference on this bushing. This one also screws. You can see the screw there. You can see that they're not at all compatible in most respects. However, there's always ways. So inside of it, you can see the OD. So this is actually bigger. That's what I found. You couldn't. The Singer ones is of entirely different size. The outside is much smaller, so you can't fit them on. It's quite neat. Okay, put the washer back so I don't lose it. And then that back on. So I should. Okay. We'll run a test. Yep, so that tightens and loosens, so we're good. Okay. So, on to the next one, the Consew, and then I will show you how this all gets removed. Just leave that there for a sec. Okay. So what you'll notice immediately is this one is longer than this one. They're not the same length again, so that's where some of the excitement comes in. So I could actually quite use that up there, and that would probably solve a lot of problems, and I can use the clutch. However, what you'll see is there are these holes here, and there would normally be a bushing pin. Now I've just encouraged this on, since there is no pin, and it stays in place and it's not a problem. But I had to use a bit of leather here to make sure that when I pushed on the balance wheel, it wouldn't slip when I put the clutch in. So it's just a matter of bashing out the pin. Now I can't actually show you doing that because there's no pin in here. I've just wedged that on there tight. And it works. But basically, I'll show you what you would do. You need a few things. So you should use a bit of leather rather than damaging that. So you would always want to put a bit of leather cloth and use some sort of protection. So a piece of leather works very well. And then you clamp it on there, and that just keeps it from spinning, because the last thing you want to do while you're trying to hammer out the pin just have this thing spinning around. Okay, so that's now locked into place. And what you would do is you would wedge that under something to keep it from spinning. Then, with a small awl, and here I've just got a simple fit, you would just tap the pin out. And then once it's out, on the bottom it'll just stick out maybe a couple millimeters. You just grab it with these, and then you're done. And that's literally as complicated as it gets. So once you pull it off, you just put the new one back on, like I've done here. Shove it on, and I don't even use the clutch on that because I just tighten it up and it holds fine. Now, what I find when you're trying to put sometimes these clutch knobs in, you may find you have to turn them in reverse just to get them to bed in onto the threads. And there you go. That's all tightened up, and now I will put the 237 back together. This one, I must admit, I like. I just wish it were longer. It would be a lot more pleasant. Because it screws on so easily. But I need a longer one so I can use this. But it makes no difference. All works.